Hey folks, Paul Essery here. I'm delighted this morning to be here with Stella Collins from Stella Labs. Stella, I know you're under a bit of time pressure. I know you've got plenty to keep you busy, and it's the run up to Christmas as well when everybody's busy. So thank you for taking some time out to come and talk to us about what you're doing. I'm really pleased you've made that time to talk to us because I think what you're doing is really interesting. I mean, we both have an interest in work-based learning, and I think what you're doing is really fascinating. So thank you for making time. Just to kind of set the scene for people, tell folks a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your business.
Okay, so I'm Stella Collins. I'm Chief Learning Officer and co-founder at Stella Labs. I'm the author of Neuroscience for Learning and Development, which has now been translated into 4 languages, which is quite exciting.
Oh, wow.
And our business it's shifted from being a services business to a tech business. And our mission is to make every minute spent learning worth it. Basically, we just want to make sure that, when people spend time learning at work, which they do, they have to do it in order to, improve their careers or, do the jobs they need to do, that learning has real impact and actually helps them change their behaviors, change their habits, do the jobs they need to be able to do.
Cool. Okay. And tell us a bit more about the technology that you've developed, but more importantly, why it changes things for users and customers and, why it makes things better and why that matters.
So I think rather than start with the technology, I have to start with the science of learning because that's how our tech is developed. So rather than, a lot of tech people start with some really cool tech and then kind of think what we're going to do with it.
Yeah.
We started with what's the problem we're trying to solve and how do we solve that without the tech? And that's what we were doing quite successfully quite a long time. And the challenge is that people at work, go on training courses or they attend webinars. There's all sorts of options for learning, but it fails generally to transfer into behavior change at work. So there's a big problem there that, time and money is being spent and wasted. We've developed a methodology that, based on science, based on evidence, enables that impact to happen, enables that transfer of learning to happen. And that's about making sure that people have, the appropriate kind of, well, A, they need to be motivated. B, they need to have the appropriate structure, information, guided starting point to get them started. Then they need an opportunity to experiment and kind of practice in a safe environment and get some feedback so that they kind of feel, okay, I can be confident enough that I can try that at work. They need this opportunity to apply it at work. And this is where it becomes really important that they start to get support from the organization, from their colleagues, their peers, particularly their manager. There's a lot of evidence that, support from your manager is really crucial to transferring what you do. And then finally, there's the piece about how do I make sure that these habits and new behaviors and new knowledge are kept for the long term. So we use spaced repetition and spaced practice, which are elements from the science of learning. So that's kind of the methodology. That's where we start. And basically our platform, our tech, supports that process. So supports people to have some information, guided, structured, non-cognitively overloading. It supports the connection between learner and peers who are also going on the same learning track with them. So we have discussions. It very much supports the application into the workplace. So people have very structured activities that are relevant to their job that they have to apply, but they also have, we call it a mentor. It's usually a manager, a supervisor, specialist in the area. And they have this ability to tell them what they're doing via the platform. That person can then observe them in the wild, in the job, doing what they're doing. And then the person kind of reflects themselves as to, how they've done, gives themselves some feed forward, we call it. And then the manager or the mentor can also validate that, yes, I've seen Paul do this. He did a good job. To continue to improve, he needs to do X, Y, and Z. And then, there's a kind of an element of continuing that learning out beyond the learning event and out into the workplace with spaced repetition. So our platform sort of sends spaced repetition questions until we can be pretty confident that people have the knowledge they need. And it continues to improve. It continues to prompt them with relevant activities until we can be confident that they've got the skills that they were hoping to acquire.
Yeah. And what sort of, I just want to delve into that a little bit more deeply. And what sort of sectors and customers are you working with? I mean, is it medical businesses? What sort of businesses are buying in this really sharp and effective focus on training? So it's not just, I'll do a bit of training. It's we really want this training to work, because they're buying in an effective methodology.
Yeah.
So they must be concerned that it does work. I mean, what sort of companies are focusing on that?
So I'm just going to add one last thing about the tech that I really should have mentioned, is that we also use AI now to make sure that we can build learning journeys really quickly, but also we're beginning to use the AI to actually personalize that learning journey for individuals, so we can kind of track how they're going, what more support do they need, and the AI will also prompt, it can ask the right questions at the right time. So it's really important, the AI. So the question you asked was, yes, what sort of companies? We're relatively agnostic around what they do, because learning is the same pretty much regardless of what organization you work in. Our current target market is sort of small to medium enterprises, and that's mostly because the really big companies have already got a lot of tech spaghetti, they call it. Yeah. So they've already got a lot of tech embedded, and their procurement processes are slow. They're not quite sure how they are, where this fits within their current tech stack. Whereas the sort of SMEs, perhaps they haven't got any learning tech yet, but they recognize they need something to speed up their process and to have impact. And also they're very aware of their business critical needs. What is it that's going to make our business survive until the end of the year for the next 5 years, whatever it might be. So they're very focused on business critical learning.
Cool. And that's a really good thing. I mean, if SMEs are moving on that issue, that's a really important step forward, because traditionally they've not particularly focused on that area, have they? So it's a really good thing that progress is. So
I can give you some. I mean, we've got one client that they actually are in the pharmaceutical world. They're in animal healthcare. They are one of our customers. We actually have quite a big Belgian. Having said we're looking at SMEs, we have quite a big Belgian telecoms company. We've got some consulting companies who use it.
Yeah.
So an interesting range of a funeral company, funnily enough.
Wow. And I mean, I think it's we both believe in that kind of educational approach being the way forward, and so I think it's a great proposition. But it can't have been easy to get it to market and to persuade people to sign up for something that's a little bit different. I mean, tell us about some of the challenges you faced in building the business.
So you're absolutely right. Educating other people to kind of recognize that just throwing more content at people. So most learning tech is very content heavy.
Right. Yeah.
Educating people to recognize that is not going to solve their problems is a challenge. Having said that, people recognize it really quickly, because everybody knows that that they're not probably able to add. So everybody in L&D knows that they're not adding value. They're not able to measure impact, or up until now they haven't been able to measure impact of training. So it is it's a known problem in the L&D industry, in the learning industry. I think one of the other things our tech does well is actually track progress, as opposed to measuring completion. Have people completed the learning? That's not relevant to us. It's, are they making progress? Are they moving forward? And we can track that, which also helps. If you can see people are making progress or not making progress, you can adapt. And one of the key things we find that one particular customer is really kind of valued and uses is this connection between, I can see my learners are making progress or not. And there's a really strong correlation between how much are their mentors supporting them. And so the organization can look at this kind of difference and say, okay, so this group here are doing really well. They've got a fantastic mentor who's really active and involved. This group here seems like their mentor isn't also supporting them as well as they can. So they can go in at that point before the learning journey is completed they can go in and say to the mentors, look, could you please do a bit more than you have been doing? We also offer support to mentors. And then we can actually see that progress begins to change.
Yeah, yeah. And in terms of where you're going, I mean, like I said, fantastic proposition. I mean, a bit of an uphill struggle, I imagine. But I mean, what are your thoughts about, what are your ambitions for the company? I mean, how do you see things playing out over the next, I don't know, 4 or 5 years?
So we have quite big ambitions. We really want to grow really fast. We want to reach. I kind of. Do you remember that 60s song? I want to teach the world to sing.
The Coca-Cola thing, yeah.
Well, I kind of have that. I want to teach the world to learn. It kind
Okay.
of runs through my brain. So yeah, we want to expand. We're currently looking at mostly Europe, but we want to expand out into the States. We've got quite a lot of interest actually in Australia at the moment, which is quite interesting. So
Right.
we just want to grow, and we really passionately believe that everybody has the right to learn, but actually everybody has the ability to learn and learn well. It's a human skill.
Yeah.
But what's currently happening in organizations is that skill is not being enabled, and what we want is the tech to really enable that skill that we have innately.
Yeah.
But we can do it at work as well. So yeah, growth. Who knows where we might go to?
Yeah. And of course, technology is changing everything, which means that we have to be better at learning how to adapt. Because technology comes along and says, well, okay, as a result of that, we need to do things differently. Well, we're going to have to learn how to do that. You
Absolutely.
can't stop the world and say, well, wait for a minute. It doesn't work that way, does it? So the ability to learn and adapt quickly is critical to the way businesses are going to compete in the future. So it's a really
and AI is having such a big impact on that at the moment. Lots of people are looking at their roles and thinking, what is AI going to do that I was doing last week and AI can do this week? People are going to have to adapt even more quickly, which is why one of the reasons that we wanted to make sure we've got AI in our design process is we have to design learning much faster than we were able to do in the past. In the past, it could take 3 to 4 months to design and launch a program. But we haven't got 3 to 4 months because, as you say, the tech is accelerating so quickly. We have to be able to run much faster just to keep up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, thank you for coming and sharing that story. I mean, and good luck with what you're doing. I mean, as a fellow educator, as it were, I mean, I'm a huge fan of that sort of approach. I mean, it's exactly, I think, the thing that will make a difference in the workplace. So good luck with that. And perhaps come back at some point and let us know how you've got on. I'd be interested to see how things
that would be great
out over a year or two. So thank you for your time. Really appreciate that. See you soon.
Thank you, Paul.
Cheers, Stella. Bye-bye.